film in Minnesota. My name is Rahana Power.
And I'm Alan Tracy.
And today we have the wonderful Allie Daniels with us. Welcome, Allie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. We are going to jump in and get started with our fun random questions
Today.
So first, my dear, what is something that you feel everyone should be trained to be able to do?
Especially these days, I feel everyone should be trained how to determine if a source is reliable, because in the political climate, we hear a lot of the term fake news, but fake news has been going on for forever. Not forever, but there are a lot of reputable sources out there, and there are a lot of not so reputable sources out there on everything. So, yeah, I feel very passionately about that.
No, absolutely. I do too. So I fully agree with you. That's a great answer. There's so much that you see, honestly, on all sides, where you're just like, that's one, clearly not true.
Yeah.
And two, all you got to do is just look into the source, and then you can tell not only is that not true, but maybe I shouldn't follow that particular source to continue getting bad information.
Yep.
Yeah, I fully agree. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. And then what fact amazes you every time that you think about it?
Okay. So I actually learned this from my boyfriend, but John Quincy Adams once funded an expedition to the center of the earth to meet the mole people who live there.
What?
I'm just trying to let me make sure that, he once approved an expedition to the center of the earth. He believed a man who said that the earth was hollow. So that actually happened.
Wow. See, if he had had a reputable source,
right,
he would have known not to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Just one scientist on his cabinet.
That's it.
And that's it.
No, there's no mole people at the center of the earth, John Quincy Adams.
People. Wow, that is fascinating.
Yeah, it is pretty
mole
ridiculous.
people, not actual moles.
Yeah, no,
right.
The mole people.
Yes,
yeah.
very different.
Who are working at the center of the earth.
I
to
guess.
keep it going.
Really to just keep us moving, yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I just know that he...
I was trying to think of the rational, logical step to go to that. It's like...
Yeah, how did... I'm really curious how
the hollow
that
earth
thought
theory
process came about for him. Interesting. Oh, man.
Because when you dig... How far did they get?
I don't know. I just know that he did approve the expedition.
Well, maybe the cursive was really bad handwriting at the time.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
He just signed it. It's like, whatever. Go ahead.
It's like, I can't read this. I don't have time for this. I don't have time to read things.
Yeah. We have a war going on? No.
All right, Allie. Lastly, or finally, anyway, what is a random, interesting talent that you have that others may or may not know about you?
Well, most people know that I did major in musical theater, so I do sing, and I've also written songs since I was in probably like 5th grade. I had a band called the Sugar Kittens with my best friend. The songs were awful. They were so bad. But there is a Sugar Kittens cassette tape out there somewhere.
That is
really
amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
awesome.
Sing, write songs. I'm also really good at making ugly faces.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I know that the listeners can't see, but
I believe it.
I'm really curious. What kind of
I used to be able to, well, I probably still can. It's still my face. But the grumpy cat face.
Oh, yes.
We'll have to get a picture of that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
There we go.
Okay, we're going to have to get a picture of that.
Yeah, we'll get that later. Yeah.
I actually got a joke, headshot my mom took of me doing the grumpy cat face. So
that's
Is that based on the books and
the
like the picture books of the grumpy cat?
The meme where it's just the cat who says.
Well, they
no
have
all
books
the
of
time.
that cat. It's called Grumpy Cat.
Oh
so,
really?
yeah.
I didn't know they had books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's that famous now.
Instagram, all that. Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Oh yeah,
Nice. Well, it makes sense that they would have books.
yeah. He really made
Very
it.
famous cat.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you currently in a band, or do you still sing like outside of musical theater now, or?
I still work on music. I don't do guitar as much. I'm much more of a singer-songwriter than a guitarist.
Mhm.
I just learned guitar so I could put my lyrics to music.
Mhm.
But I do have a few songs that I have been trying to put to guitar, but it just hasn't happened yet. But I do have some of my music on my website. So if anyone is interested,
Ooh,
Yeah.
go on there.
yes.
I will have the disclaimer that, again, I am not a guitarist.
It's okay. Have you ever been asked to do any of the music for any films that you've been part of, or even just a film in general, even if you weren't originally part of it?
Yeah. So, oh gosh, I forgot what the film was called. Oh no. But my cousin and I had a band called Frog Crossing when I was in college, and a little bit afterward. Oh shoot, I feel so bad. I can't remember the name of the film. But there's a song that I wrote called Rainy Day in Minnesota, and they used it in the credits for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to hear it
Yeah.
in the credits. Yeah.
That's super cool.
It was called what?
Rainy Day in Minnesota.
What was the film?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I feel
Way to
bad.
point
Sorry.
that back out again.
I heard Frog Legs or something.
No, the band was called Frog Crossing.
Oh, I see.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, getting into that, what kind of got you started into films and acting in general?
Well, I've been acting since second grade. I was in a play. I don't remember the title of it, but I got into it because we all had hats for each character, and everyone could put their name in the hat of the role that they wanted. And all the girls put their name in the hat for like the princess or the queen. And I noticed that Sir Gallivant did not have any names in the hat. So I put my name in the hat for Sir Gallivant because I just wanted to act. And I got the role because I was the only name in the hat. And then after that, I became addicted. I was happier when I was involved with a show than when I wasn't. It became like I would get antsy every time I wasn't somehow involved with a show. So yeah, I majored in musical theater and moved to Minneapolis after I graduated in 2011, and just got involved in the film community and the theater community, and it's been awesome. This is a great community to be an actor.
Absolutely. So when you say you moved to Minneapolis, was it from somewhere else in Minnesota or from outside of Minnesota?
From Wisconsin, actually.
Wisconsin?
Yep.
Okay.
I grew up in central Wisconsin. I went to school at the University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point, in the BFA musical theater program.
Nice. So have you done any, I'm kind of jumping around here, but
No, it's
have
fine.
you done any films or theater outside of college and school within Wisconsin as well, or have you focused mainly on that since living in Minnesota only?
Well, when I was in college, I was also involved in some community theater. I did Jekyll and Hyde.
Ooh.
Cool.
At the community theater there. I played Lucy, who is the sex worker who falls in love with Dr. Jekyll. It was awesome. I got to be stabbed on stage, and my sister was mad at me because she did not know I was going to be murdered on stage. And I got to do one of my favorite plays, actually, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? I got to play Honey, and that was amazing.
Nice.
And that was through community theater as well. So yeah, I did a lot of community theater productions when I was in Wisconsin, even when I, wasn't in college or I just wasn't doing a show through the university. So yeah,
That's fantastic.
I hope that answers your question.
It does. Absolutely. So what was your first film role?
My first film role was actually when I was in college. We had a student-run television show called Aisle 5. It was kind of like The Office, except set in a grocery store.
Okay.
My character was the shy sample girl, Claire, who was essentially Pam. I was the other half of the romantic lead couple. And I really enjoyed film because it was so much more subdued and subtle. And in college, I was always told in the theater program that I wasn't being big enough, that I needed to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And I struggled with that a lot. So then I found film and I got to be much more natural. And I just got to kind of live on set rather than try to make myself big enough to reach the back of the audience, which eventually I learned how to do. But it was nice to be able to just settle in a little bit.
That's a good transition point. That's interesting because you learn the opposite. Sometimes theater people have to dial it back for film. And for you, it was a natural transition into film.
I feel like that's been pretty beneficial here.
So, even though it's almost impossible always to answer this question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Do you prefer now, having been acting for so long, film to theater or theater to film, or is it still kind of an equal balance for you?
It's pretty equal. I do, when I'm doing a lot of film, I'm like, oh, I should be doing more theater. And when I'm doing a lot of theater, I'm like, oh, I should be doing more film. They're two completely different things. With theater, I get to play these big, huge characters that are larger than life. Film is a lot more, this is going to sound kind of selfish, but it is kind of more instant gratification. And it's you work on the character on your own. There are some rehearsals, but not nearly as much as theater. And you're on set and you go, whereas theater, it's like months of rehearsal, and then you might only get like 2 weekends to show what you've been working on. So I think they're very different. I would say I probably have more of like an emotional tie to theater just because I majored in it and I've been doing theater like all my life. So I do have this kind of in my head where I'm like, I have to be doing theater. But I think I've probably had more success in film.
Absolutely.
That's interesting because it's at theater, whenever, like, you as an audience goer, you as a film person though too, it's like, where can I see this again? But then it's like you can't see it again. It's just there and then it's over.
Yep, exactly.
And I think as a film person, it's like, where can I see that? It's like, no.
Yeah, it's always a struggle, especially when you have friends in theater who are like, oh, come see my show.
Right.
And then like you finally get time to actually like go support your friends. And it's like, oh, when can I see your show? And they're like, oh, it ended last night. So that happens a lot.
Yeah. Didn't anyone put it on YouTube?
Yeah, exactly.
What role in filmmaking is maybe most intriguing to you?
So I think that writing is kind of a mystery to me. Like I've written songs, but most of my songs have to do with like previous romantic relationships. Because, write what you know. And I only really write when I'm inspired to write. And I haven't really tried like forcing myself to write, although I should, because I'll probably come up with more ideas. But I am fascinated by people who can turn out like new ideas and new stories that haven't been told yet or told in that way. And I do have some people helping me because I'm trying to work on a web series, but I have not written one thing yet. I only have like this idea of what I want it to be. I have no idea how to actually like write it. So I admire writers especially because I don't know where they find all of this inspiration and all of these new ideas. And I'm very jealous that they can do that.
Well, I feel like it's with anything else creatively. Wow. In film and acting and, you know, all theater and all of that, like it's something that's really difficult at first, especially even understanding how the process starts. But then once you get into it, I mean, you find that creativity really comes out of you and you're going to start being able to do it more and more successfully. And it's just going to feel probably as good as writing songs.
Yeah.
You know, and that's so exciting, especially being in that community already. And it's so supportive. So
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
awesome. I love that you're doing that. Going back to acting, do you have a favorite actor?
So my favorite actor changes quite often. Right now it's probably Anna Kendrick. I read her book Scrappy Little Nobody,
Yes.
and I loved
So
it.
good.
Oh my God, so good.
Yeah.
And she has a theater background, especially musical theater. She's small, she looks young like I do. So I really kind of was inspired by that. And I really want to see her new movie with Blake Lively.
Yes.
And my mom and my sister we tried to get tickets one of the first nights it came out, and it was sold out. And I was really sad. So I still haven't seen it, and I really want to. But also, I've always been inspired by Evan Rachel Wood. I love her. Also, women in comedy like Kristen Wiig. I love her. Alison Brie is wonderful. Despite Scientology, Elizabeth Moss is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a hard time separating the art from the artist. I feel like that's a pretty common topic to come up among people in the arts community. And whenever I hear that somebody maybe did something unsavory or has some problematic opinions or a history that they haven't really made good on, it kind of kills it for me, and I'm like, I don't really want to support that person anymore. So,
which is difficult when they have done, like, they've had this career and they're so excellent at what they do, and that's what you are so passionate about.
Yeah,
it's really tough to pull back from that and be like, but I can't anymore.
Yeah,
you know.
Yep,
it's really difficult.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Yep. So,
well, out of those film or actors, and maybe there's others for this particular question as well, is there any that inspire you specifically in acting itself or filmmaking or anything?
Yeah, I would say, like I said, Anna Kendrick, Evan Rachel Wood, those two in particular. A while back, I probably would have said like Jennifer Lawrence, and I really enjoy watching Emma Stone. I try to look at like younger actresses to kind of learn from, even though I'm 30, but I'm still playing younger characters.
That's great.
So yeah, it's very fortunate for me. But yeah, I would say probably Anna Kendrick right now.
Yeah, I could see that. That
Thank
makes
you.
sense. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, and also Kirsten Dunst as well. I've always loved her.
Yes, she's amazing.
She's wonderful.
Love her.
Well, I guess it's my turn to ask you a question now. As far as like maybe a favorite thing you like about acting, or maybe the process of filmmaking for you. What are some of your favorite aspects of that when you go through making a film or whatever, a series? And why? What are your favorite things and why?
I think my favorite part is in the beginning, actually, like when you first get the script and you're starting to learn about your character and what motivates them, and you know who they really are, and like digging and finding those layers and nuances. Like nobody is one dimensional and nobody is 100% good or 100% evil. Everybody's got, you know, their shades. So I think that's my favorite part, is just kind of meeting your character.
Very Hitchcockian of you to say that.
Oh, really?
he believed everything was shades of gray too.
Yeah.
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 But I think it's interesting because, like you said, getting to know your character at the beginning, because so often, first off, you don't know who your castmates are so it's kind of like a blind date of filmmaking where it's like, oh, you're going to be this personable person maybe with this other person you've never met. So.
Yeah. Yep.
So what's your process with like working with another actor, like in like creating like that web series you were saying, creating a love interest?
Yeah.
Or chemistry, I don't know.
Well, we were lucky enough to be working in the musical theater program together. I don't know. For that one, we just kind of clicked. We had really good on-screen chemistry. That's interesting that you say that. Yeah, I mean, obviously you have the table read where you kind of learn how people are approaching their character, and you want to listen to what they're giving you and then respond in kind. You don't want to be obviously stuck in your choices. But yeah, I think it's just kind of a process of talking and listening and being adaptable, and willing to shift your view of what you think your relationship is, and you know who this person is to you and what they mean to you. Yeah, I think it's just a lot of talking and listening and adjusting, adapting. That's an interesting question.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah.
It's depends on the production, I think, too. So,
yeah.
Yeah, and in that way, like since your first film to now many films you've done, have you progressed in your acting career as you had expected, or?
Yeah. As I expected, no. No. In college, I was in the musical theater program, and people would ask me like, "Oh, so you're going to be on Broadway, huh? Or you're going to have your name in lights, or things like that." And I never expected that. I never really wanted that. I never really thought about it. I just always wanted to keep acting. And I have been able to do that, and I've been luckily paid for it most of the time. But I think in college, I had no idea what would happen. Like a lot of people go through the musical theater program and then they, go back to their hometown and they get an office job and do community theater on the side. And there's nothing wrong with that. I had no idea what I would have been doing by now. And I think college me would be very surprised at how much acting work I have gotten in Minneapolis, especially paid acting work.
Have
Yeah.
you found that to be the case more with film or theater?
Probably theater.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I think with theater, it's kind of different because with film, like you can crank out a short film in a weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and with theater, it has to be a show that I really want to do, or it has to be someone I really want to work with, because if you're pouring your heart and soul into this show for 2-3 months, and then you get to do the show for like 2 weekends and you get nothing out of it in terms of financial compensation, it's a little bit of a bummer. I did do this show called Sans Merci, which was 5 years ago, I want to say. And it was the most intense show I've ever done. And I loved it. And I loved my character. I loved everyone in it. And we really dug into it. And it was a very intense experience. And 55 people total came to see it. Yeah. And I don't think we were paid for that either, which, like, it was a beautiful show and I don't regret doing it.
Right.
But it can be a little bit heartbreaking
Yeah.
when you pour so much into it, and you know, it just that's what
Yeah.
happens.
Okay.
So I try to seek out paid theater, like, again, unless it's, you know, going to benefit either my resume or my networking or my soul, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
That's great.
When you were deciding to move to Minnesota, did you consider maybe going New York, LA, Minnesota, or was it always kind of your plan to jump here? And do you plan on staying here, or is part of you always maybe keeping an eye on one of those two avenues as well?
Yeah. When I graduated, a lot of people were going to New York. We had a showcase in New York, and New York has always terrified me. I have always been 100% sure that if I moved to New York, it would chew me up and spit me out immediately. I hadn't considered LA when I was in the musical theater program, probably because I hadn't done that much film apart from IL5. I didn't even take film classes because they were mostly for the acting program and not theater program. So I didn't consider LA. I thought about Chicago, but in the end, my sister lived in Minneapolis, so she had a place to stay. I also got a full-time job with benefits on a fluke from meeting a drunk girl in a bar who was leaving her job, and she's like, "Hey, you want my job?" And I was like,
Wow.
"Sure." Yeah, super lucky, so lucky.
Was this a drunk bar in Wisconsin or Minneapolis?
No, I was in Minneapolis.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yep.
wow. All right, then.
Yeah.
Handing out jobs. Okay.
Yeah. Fabulous Ferns was where it was.
Oh.
Yep. So yeah, I never really considered New York or LA coming out of college. I did, again, kind of think about Chicago, but enough people talked to me about Minneapolis and the theater community and the film community, and it just seemed like the right fit. As far as the future, I've always got an eye on LA. I've been told by quite a few people that I should be in LA, especially looking as young as I do. I've also got an eye on Atlanta as well, because I've heard that's where the CW films, and I really want to be on a CW teenage drama. Like, that's like one of my ultimate goals, is to be on something like Gossip Girl or Pretty Little Liars, because that's just, I don't know, my heart is in the CW. That doesn't even make sense, but anyway, I feel like,
does.
yeah, I feel like that would be a good fit for me, is LA or Atlanta. But right now my bank account allows for Minneapolis. So,
Right.
yep.
Yeah. Well, outside of the bank account,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything else that kind of keeps you here? Like, what about the film community here do you really love, or do you see helping to kind of flourish your acting?
Oh yeah, I think the film community is great here. We have so many resources, especially on social media. Whenever anybody moves here, I automatically point them to like all of the Facebook pages, because it's so easy to make connections here. Everybody is really welcoming of new artists, and ready to, help them out and give them advice. And there are, constantly auditions and, projects. And even if there aren't, you can always find someone who's, up for, creating a new project, I guess. I don't know. I ran off track there. Or a thought. I don't know.
You're good.
What was that thing on Inside Out? The thought train or the train of thought? That's
Yeah.
what it was,
Yep. Train of thought just went off the rails. I don't know. Or crashed into a wall or something.
No, it's fine. It just goes where it wants to. That's all.
Yeah. But you can always find someone who's wanting to collaborate on a new project. So
Yeah.
I think Minneapolis is a great place to be if you are an actor or filmmaker or any kind of artist. Like Minneapolis is so good at being I was going to say an incubator for artists, but that would mean that they're just starting out, and really anyone can of any experience can find success here. I feel like if you work hard enough and if you care enough.
Right. Absolutely. So kind of going into a very specific aspect of the film community. So the Time's Up movement and the Me Too movement, which have been huge over the last few years. Have you as an actress noticed any changes here locally in the film community since those have really gotten going?
Absolutely. I've noticed more women and non-binary artists creating their own work and creating their own spaces, making their voices heard, especially on social media. People are calling out problematic casting calls for women that only focus on like their appearance or the relationship to the male protagonist. There are also spaces on social media for calling attention to men in the community that might be, predatory or just possibly unsafe to work with. And I think that's really important. And people are, talking about their experiences with past abusers who might be in the community. And I'm seeing a lot more of building up of women and non-binary communities.
That's great.
So it's really important. And I'm also seeing more films that are being created that feature mostly women or all women. So that's pretty cool too.
Absolutely. Yeah, 'cause we have some amazing female filmmakers here in the Twin Cities, amazing female writers, actresses. Like, it's such a powerhouse here, and I don't think that that's really shown outside of the specific community. So the fact that that's starting to really come through, I think, is fantastic.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
So, of all your roles that you have done in the past, played in the past, have you had one or two that have been kind of your favorites that you've gotten to portray? Yeah,
actually, in the recent Minnesota Fringe Festival, I got to play this character named Viney Duvray in this new play called A State of Affairs. It was it kind of paid homage to like Arsenic and Old Lace, and what else? Philadelphia Story.
Oh yeah.
And my character was very brash and vivacious. She had a New Jersey kind of accent, and she just wasn't anything that I've ever played before. And I love comedy. I love doing comedy, and I don't often get to. And I played this sex worker who was hired by a gay man to convince his very rich parents that he had found a wife so he could get his a trust fund. And it turns out that my character actually had an affair with his father. Yes. So it was,
Great.
Yeah. So it was all just like chaos throughout.
Yes.
And it was a joy to work on. Like I've been in shows where I love acting, but there are some shows where I get tired and I'm like, oh, I just don't want to go to rehearsal. Like I wish I could stay home. But I never had that with this show. I was always so excited to go to rehearsal, so excited to like play with my character and everything. And it was just a blast to work on.
It sounds like it. That sounds like a really fun script.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was really funny.
That's amazing. I can definitely see like the tie
love
to
that
Philadelphia
story. Just the idea of it. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh man, see, like you were
We have
saying
to-
now, I really wish that I could just watch that right now.
We have to adapt the idea somehow.
Yes. Yeah. 'Cause that just sounds phenomenal.
But Allie comes attached with it, so.
Right.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So again, of all of the work that you've done, do you have well, it's kind of a two-part question. Are there any genres that you maybe haven't dived into? Dived? Yeah. Into. And if so, what would you maybe want to? And then out of what you have done, do you have a favorite go-to, like you just love doing comedy over drama or horror, anything like that?
So I would actually, these are not like serious actor like things, but I would love to be in a romantic comedy, like probably a teen or like college age romantic comedy.
Yeah.
And I would love to do again a teenage drama a la CW, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot more TV than film, so I think that kind of makes up me or helps to make up who I am as an actor, and what I want to do. I would also love to do a terrible Lifetime original movie.
Yeah.
I
Movie of the
love bad
week.
movies.
Yes.
I adore bad movies. In fact, some filmmakers are like mad at me that I like bad movies. They're like, why do you support bad art? I'm like, because it's a joy to watch. But of what I've done, I tend to be cast in a lot of like kind of sci-fi dramas. I did a proof of concept trailer for MXC, the Invention of Tomorrow, where it was this scientific utopia kind of world, and my character was a clone, but she didn't know she was a clone.
Okay. Interesting.
And yeah, everyone was kind of, well, my father was like in quotes was like trying to protect me because people wanted to do more experiments on me and things like that. And it was really cool to be a part of. But yeah, I do enjoy drama, especially with film, and with theater, I tend to prefer to be like the comic relief. So it's weird. I like comedy for theater and drama for film, but then again, I haven't tried too much drama in theater and comedy in film. So it'd be cool to swap them as well. So if anybody is writing a comedy out there,
I could definitely see that though, because I mean, with with comedy and theater, you have those moments where, okay, this is generally where a laugh is going to be. And this is, you have that instant gratification with it. Whereas in a film, you're doing it and you're like, I really hope this lands properly.
Right.
And then when it premieres, it either does or it doesn't.
Yeah. Yep.
So that absolutely makes sense.
Depends on the drink minimum, or if the theater has drinks.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Much like a comedy club. So.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So you mentioned that you've seen a lot more TV than film. Do you have specific films that are maybe your favorite films of all time, that are ones that you can watch more than once or repeatedly and still just love?
Yeah. I actually really loved Silver Linings Playbook. Yes. I love that movie. 13. I don't know that I could watch it a million times, but it really stuck with me.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, Super Troopers is one of my favorite movies. It's one of my absolute favorite movies. And Role Models with Paul Rudd and Sean William Scott. That's another one of my favorite movies that I don't know how many times I've seen that movie. Oh, and of course, Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Right.
Holy Grail. Okay.
Yep. That is always going to be up there. I don't think I could ever watch that movie too many times. And like The Princess Bride and Robin Hood Men in Tights. I love Mel Brooks.
Absolutely. And then favorite TV shows?
Gossip Girl, Pretty Little Liars. I have also Kim's Convenience is a show on, I believe, Netflix. That's just really funny and really wholesome, and I don't think a lot of people know about it. But it's wonderful. And You're the Worst is really good.
I don't know if I've heard.
That's on Hulu.
Okay.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good one. But yeah, my probably favorite show of all time is probably Gossip Girl.
What about those are like influential to you or inspiring in any way, or what is it that draws you to those?
It probably helps that it's a young cast, so I relate to them. I don't, just the suspense of what's going to happen, what's the new twist. It tends to be a lot of levels in terms of like comedy versus drama and tragedy. It's kind of a mashup of everything, and I don't know, there's just so many things going on and different characters. I guess you could say that about pretty much any show. I don't know what draws me to them. I mean, this is going to sound really shallow, but like the wardrobe does not hurt.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's an Oscar category. So
yeah.
People get paid to make sure that that's as good as it is. So.
Yeah.
I worked on a set once for a show, and they had the trailer filled with like clothing for certain things, and it's just interesting how much thought goes into like if your background, like you have to look like a certain type, of this scene or whatever. Yeah.
It's funny though, because I will like go online and look at like the clothing that was picked out for this certain character, and I think of their socioeconomic background. And when you think of like, okay, this is a high schooler whose parents are teachers or college professors, and they're wearing like a $600 dress with a $400 jacket or whatever. So that kind of makes me laugh.
Yeah. Well, it's also says something about like maybe that's their way to, I don't know, express themselves. I don't know. It's like they have money to spend on something, and that's it. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Or the kitchen or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Whatever they value, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, Allie, is there something that you really want to do more now than you ever have before, like in your acting career? Some goal that you have.
And maybe even for film, especially.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would say, like, I really want to do a comedic role, particularly, like I said, like a teenage or like college age, like romantic comedy. I would love to do that. I haven't done a whole lot of features, and I haven't had a particularly like meaty role in a feature film. So I would like to do that as well. But yeah, the whole like love interest thing, I would like to dive into that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I feel like we've gotten a couple answers like that. Like we really need some rom-coms
We do.
Yeah.
in the
we-
Twin Cities.
Yeah.
We've gotten
Right.
some of those, but if we go ensemble, it'd be more like American Pie meets
True.
like
Yeah.
I would do that.
I don't know what else.
Yeah.
Make people believe in love again.
Exactly.
I love love. And there's so much like cynicism in the world, and I feel like we just need some romantic comedies.
It could be placed in the middle of winter when everybody's just miserable and angry and gloomy, and then all of a sudden all of this love is just sprouting up and
Yeah.
giving everybody hope again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hilarious.
Yeah.
At the same
Oh,
time.
I guess it would be like a mix of like American Pie meets Love Actually type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So-
See,
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
We need to make this happen.
Yeah.
Writers that are listening to this right now need to contact us.
Yeah.
We have ideas. Okay. So what's next for you, Allie?
So I am doing a, I guess, radio play
Cool.
called Vessel, where I play this just horrible person. I'm trying to find redeeming qualities because I know I said everyone has shades of gray, but this person is just awful. And she has no filter, and she has the ability to possess bodies.
Ooh.
She has the ability to astrally project herself and also to possess bodies. And she does horrible things to these people that she possesses, and it's a downward spiral. But like reading it, I've never played someone who is just that unapologetically terrible. So I'm really excited to take on that challenge. I've got I just wrapped on one of the Z-Fest films that I'm doing.
Ooh,
And that was a survival film.
survival. What genre is that?
Huh?
What genre is this?
Survival
Yeah.
film. A drama, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a rom-com. Survival.
No. No, not at
would
all.
be
Surviving
interesting.
dating. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
No. And like I said, I'm trying to get up the courage to work on this web series that I've got in mind. But yeah, mostly Vessel and Z-Fest. So
Awesome.
Exciting.
yeah.
Well, I'm going to swap real quick. What do you want people to remember most about you? Whether it's after working with you, after watching your work, after just meeting you.
Well, one quote that always really stuck with me in college, I don't know who said it, but nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And I just want people to, look back on what I did and who I was as a person, and know that above all else that I genuinely cared. I care about pretty much everything. But yeah, that I truly do have passion for this, and I keep on talking in circles because all I can think is that I just want them to know that I care.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, Allie, thanks for being with us, first of all.
Yeah.
And lastly, like, where can people find your work or contact you?
I have a website. It is Allie Daniels, ALIDANIELS.actor. And from there, it also links to my YouTube if people want to see some examples of my work and also some of my songs as well. So,
Great.
yeah, I think there's a couple music videos on there too.
Awesome.
Mhm.
And do you have like a big social media presence where they can like maybe contact you if they
I'm on Facebook.
work with you or
I'm on Facebook at Allie Daniels. I also have a Facebook page, Allie Daniels-actress. And then I'm on Instagram at Miss Allie Daniels, MISSALIDANIELS. And that is also my Twitter handle as well. I don't
Great.
tweet very much though.
Yeah.
that's all right.
Yeah.
Twitter's overrated.
I've heard you need to be consistent on your names on social media just so it's easier to find.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah. That kind of went crazy when I decided one day that I wanted to go by Alex Daniels.
Wait,
And
what?
Alex is my real name.
Oh.
And I had it in my head that Alex was like a much stronger name than Allie Daniels. So I was like, I'm going to go by Alex. So my email has Alex in it and my website used to have Alex in it.
Okay.
I did not know that about
Yeah,
you.
it was only for like a couple months. And then I was like, no, this is way too confusing. So if you ever see like things that say like Alex Daniels on like my IMDb or anything like that.
Right.
It's really,
That's why.
Great. I learned something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Allie, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
Yeah. Thanks for asking me to be here.
Awesome getting to know you a little bit better.
Thank you.
Learn about you.
Yeah, and thanks to our listeners for listening this week.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you again in a couple weeks.